Hello aspirants, welcome back to India for IAS. This is Manjunath Mudhod. Hope all of you are doing well. In this video, we are going to study about Council of Ministers. This Council of Ministers was recently in news because of the oath-taking ceremony by the recent Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Council of Ministers. This topic falls under GS2 paper Indian polity. GS2 paper Indian polity. So within Indian polity, this topic falls under Union Executive. Union Executive. So this Council of Ministers, it is part of Union Executive. So in this video, we are going to study about the Council of Ministers, Prime Minister, Cabinet Ministers, Minister of States, Independent Charge and Minister of State. So their roles and responsibilities and designation. So soon after the oath-taking ceremony, an article published in the Indian Express, new Council of Ministers sworn in, that is what are the functions of Cabinet Ministers and the Ministers of State. So in this video, we will study about the different ministers like Cabinet Ministers, Minister of State, Independent Charge and Ministry of State, and the difference between the both, that is Ministry of State and Ministry of Independent Charge. So now we will look into what is Central Council of Ministers. So what is the Central or Union Council of Ministers? So this Union Council of Ministers, it is a crucial body in the Indian political or Indian government system. This is responsible for policy making for the whole nation. So this body is responsible for the policy making for the whole nation with respect to all matters. So this Council of Ministers, it is led by Prime Minister. So Prime Minister is the leader of the Council of Ministers. It serves as the practical executive authority in the parliamentary system of India. So wherever we go to the parliamentary system, so there the Council of Ministers is the practical executive authority, whereas the nominal executive authority is the president or monarch. In case of India, president is the nominal executive authority, and in case of Britain or UK, the prince or king is the nominal executive authority. As we all know that India follows the parliamentary system of government. So whereas the USA, it follows presidential system of government. So USA follows presidential system of government. So in India, the parliamentary system. So in parliamentary system, the practical executive authority is the Council of Ministers. So it is led by Prime Minister. So now we will try to understand the role and relationship between the President and the Council of Ministers. So the President is the head of the executive. So he must act upon the advice of the Council of Ministers as per the Indian Constitution. So Indian Constitution says that President is the head of the executive, that is Union Executive, and he should act upon the advice tendered by the Council of Ministers. He cannot act on his own. So he should solely act on the advice of Council of Ministers, and this Council of Ministers is led by Prime Minister. And the Article 75 of the Indian Constitution talks about these provisions, and it also says that the President should act or bound to act in accordance with the advice tendered by the Council of Ministers. So coming to the Prime Minister, the President appoints the Prime Minister. So based on the recommendation of the majority party or coalition of the majority party. Say for example, if any party in India, if it secures the majority, that is around 272 seats. In India, in Lok Sabha at present we have 543 seats. Out of 543, if any party secures 272, it is also called as a magic number, then that party will become eligible for the formation of the government. Or if any party doesn't secure this majority, then the coalition of parties, they can recommend the name for the prime ministerial post to the president. So that name will be appointed as the prime minister by the president. Then the other ministers, they are appointed by the president based on the recommendation or advice of the prime minister. So the president, he cannot appoint other ministers on his own. He should appoint the other ministers based on the advice or recommendation of the prime minister. So this prime minister and other ministers, they form the Council of Ministers. So the prime minister and other minister, they form the Council of Ministers. In addition to this, the Article 75 also talks about the limit or the size or maximum strength of the Council of Ministers. As per the provisions of this article, the Council of Ministers' maximum strength should not exceed 15% of the strength of the Lok Sabha, that is, House of the People. So it should not exceed 15% of 543. So that means roughly around 81 seats. So only 81 members can become the ministers, not more than that. Then coming to the participation in the parliamentary proceedings of these Council of Ministers, they have a right to speak and participate in the discussions of both houses, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So as well as joint sessions of these houses and the parliamentary committees of the respective houses. They have a right to speak and participate, but they don't have automatic right to vote. They can only vote in their respective houses. That is, the members of Lok Sabha, they have right to vote in Lok Sabha, and the members of Rajya Sabha, they have right to vote in the Rajya Sabha. And if any parliamentary committee is there, so if any MP, if he is a member of any parliamentary committee, then he can vote in that committee. So their voting is restricted to their membership of the House and committees. Now we will try to understand the role of Prime Minister in the Council of Ministers. So the Prime Minister is the head of the Council of Ministers in the executive capacity. So he is the leader of the Council of Ministers. He is the head of the Council of Ministers. He is first among the equals. He is first among the equal. It means all the ministers are equal. All the ministers are equal, including Prime Minister, but he is first among the other ministers. It means the Prime Minister holds a unique leadership position, but he is also considered equal to the other ministers. So, as per Article 75 of the Constitution, Prime Minister is instrumental in ensuring the collective responsibility of the Council of Ministers to the Lok Sabha. So, he is the main authority to ensure this collective responsibility. Then the Prime Minister is responsible for decision making on various polity matters, and he is the main authority who allocates different portfolios to the ministers. That is, it is the duty of the Prime Minister to allocate different ministries to the different ministers. For example, in the recently formed Council of Ministers, the Nirmala Sitharaman, she got Finance Ministry. So this allocation of Finance Ministry to the Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is done by Prime Minister. So he is the main authority to allocate the different portfolios. And the unallocated portfolios, they remain with the Prime Minister, and Prime Minister makes the decision on unallocated portfolios. In addition to these roles and responsibilities, the Prime Minister also has specific responsibilities. They are: Prime Minister chairs the Ministry of Personal Public Grievance and Pensions. He oversees the Department of Atomic Energy and the Department of Space. That is, Department of Atomic Energy and Department of Space are directly under the authority of the Prime Minister. So additionally, the Prime Minister heads the Cabinet Secretariat. He is also responsible for the day-to-day administration and coordination between the different ministries. The Prime Minister also leads the Niti Ayoga, and he chairs the Appointment Committee of the Cabinet. So these are some specific responsibilities of the Prime Minister. So after studying the Prime Minister and his roles and responsibilities, now we will try to understand Cabinet Ministers. So Cabinet Ministers are the senior most members of the Central Council of Ministers. They are second only to the Prime Minister. So after Prime Minister in the hierarchy of ministers, the next ministers are Cabinet Ministers. Cabinet Ministers. So they are senior most members of the Council of Ministers. So these ministers, that is Cabinet Ministers, they are responsible for handling the strategic and significant ministries like Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Finance, and Defense Ministry. So they are also responsible for making crucial policy decisions with respect to their concerned ministry. In addition to this, they also participate in the various cabinet committees which are headed by Prime Minister. Example for the cabinet ministers are Amit Shah, who holds the Ministry of Home Affairs, Nitin Gadkari, who handles the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, then Nirmala Sitharaman, who handles the Ministry of Finance, and Rajnath Singh, who handles the Ministry of Defense. The next category of ministers are ministers of state with independent charge. So these are the junior members of the Council of Ministers. They are empowered to administer their respective ministries independently, that is, without the assistance of the cabinet ministers. Examples for Ministry of State independent charge are Rao Inderjit Singh, Dr. Jitendra Singh, and Arjun Ram Meghawal. They were the outgoing Ministry of State with independent charge. Then the third category of ministers are Ministers of State. So they assist the cabinet ministers in their duties and responsibilities. So some functions of the ministries are delegated by cabinet ministers to these Minister of State. So they do not have any foremost or autonomy in administrative authority with respect to their ministries as compared to the Minister of State with independent charge. So their main role is to assist the cabinet ministers in discharging their duties. Some of the ministries which have Minister of State are Ministry of Home Affairs, External Affairs Ministry, Health Ministry, Ministry of Education. So this is all about the Central Council of Minister, Prime Minister, then Cabinet Ministers, Ministers of State, Independent Charge, and Ministers of State. So based on the topic that we have discussed so far, here we have provided one prelims practice question. Go through the question and comment your answer. The answer and explanation for this question is available in the PDF handout, which you can download by joining our Telegram channel. The PDF also contains the detailed notes of this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Till then, happy learning.